Hi, thank you for joining me on my journey with cancer. I've been posting videos on how to do various of the Dr.Schulze cleanses and detoxes. Those were the first videos I ever put up on my YouTube channel. And I've had several people ask me if I would be willing to share a little more personally my journey and how I got to be where I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's a little personal, but I guess I can do this. All right, so I was diagnosed on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2019, with the most common and treatable form of breast cancer. And though I was shocked by the diagnosis, on a real deep level, I wasn't particularly surprised that my health had gone south, and that's because the last 3 years have been it's been quite a ride. There's been grief at the loss of my other half. There's been exhaustion, moving, selling homes, getting involved in a company that turned out to be not what it said it was, and just letting my formerly healthy habits, like I had my superfood in the morning and I tried to take good care of myself and things like that. But the last 3 years, just everything went south. So the first thing that I did, of course, was go and start doing all the things that I knew I needed to do to get my health back. And honestly, at the beginning, when the lump first came out, I really thought it was just sort of maybe a fatty tumor because I had totally overindulged everything over the holidays. It was just before Thanksgiving. I succumbed to my oft bemoaned cheese addiction. I had dinner at this wonderful Greek restaurant, and I consumed like a pound and a half of saganaki, which is a sautéed cheese, like a flambéed cheese. And also, I didn't used to have a lot of sugar and eat much sugar, but all of a sudden I was going to Sprouts to buy my organic food and then eating an entire half pound of Jordan almonds because I used to love Jordan almonds when I was a kid. So I had several warnings before the lump actually emerged that I needed to make some changes and that I was really letting my health go, and I didn't really listen to the warnings. So anyway, from the beginning, except in the really shocked moments right around the moments when I had the diagnosis, when I was literally, my head was reeling, my whole body was trembling. I had to have a friend drive me to the doctor because I just had not been prepared. I had been prepared to hear that it was a fatty tumor and that I would do a few days of cleanses and get back to eating healthy and stop eating cheese, which I was addicted to. Anyway, except in the first few moments when I had that, oh my God, I have cancer, what am I going to do, what am I going to do? I started realizing that on some level, I didn't feel like I had a disease called cancer. And obviously I knew I had a lump, and had tested, the biopsy definitely said that it was cancerous. And I knew that. I mean, I could feel it. I literally, if I cupped my breast and held it, I could literally feel the lump inflamed and throbbing almost and getting larger. And I had obviously several days of panic. And then I kept hearing sort of like a voice. It was my voice or my intuition or whatever. I kept hearing a voice saying, cancer is the symptom, your life is the disease. And it kept repeating in my head, cancer is the symptom, your life is the disease. Cancer is the symptom, your life is the disease. And I realized that what it was telling me, not to dispute the medical terminology of cancer as a disease, but what it was telling me was, in the ancient sense of the word dis-ease, which is lack of ease, that the cancer was a symptom of everything in my life that had gone completely out of balance in the last 3 years. Not eating the right food, incredible amount of stress, the grief at the loss of, the man that I loved, exhaustion at having to sell a property that I had lived in for 16 years, everything that had gotten out of balance in my life. And I remembered also that many years ago I had a teacher, sort of a capital T teacher, who was himself an oncologist, who had handled having lymphoma himself, and whose lymphoma was in remission. And he used to do these workshops, and he worked with people who were at sort of crossroads in their lives. And he used to say that people would come to his workshops and say, can you cure cancer? And he would say, nobody can cure cancer, but if you heal your life, sometimes your new life and your old cancer are not compatible. And so that sort of, along with the hearing cancer is the symptom, your life is the disease, that's what inspired me to see what could I do to bring my life back in balance, and get as healthy as possible before having the medical intervention if it was necessary. And if you look at cancer as the disease, then you focus on how do you get rid of that, how do you, kill the cells, how do you do this, and then that's the medical model. If you look at it as cancer being the symptom, it takes your focus off of just killing the cancer cells and to what is causing the symptom, and what can you do to address what is it a symptom of. And that's where I wanted to put my energy, because if I looked at it as a disease, it made it like a static condition that needed to be eliminated. And you can't really eliminate a symptom without addressing the underlying dis-eases, lack of balance. Because if you do that, then the symptom will pop up again someplace else, like whack-a-mole. So if you look at the word disease in its ancient origin as lack of ease, then trying to eliminate that is the exact opposite of actually listening to your body, because your body is telling you that there is something that is definitely out of whack and dis-eased. So that's kind of the insight that I had a few weeks or a few days. I don't even remember anymore. The first few days and weeks were kind of a blur of fear and anxiety, and the crazy thing was that the biggest part of my fear and anxiety was of the medical intervention that might be necessary. And so I'm not telling anybody not to do all the medical things. You all have to do, whatever it is that you feel you have to do. But my decision was I wanted to get as healthy as possible first, and then have medical intervention as the last resort, because everybody that I've known, and I'm 74 now, the cancer came up shortly before my 74th birthday, And so I have a lot of experience with friends and family who have gone through cancer. And those who have had the medical intervention first, which is what Western traditional medicine does, all too often the treatments are so debilitating that afterwards, even though they know they should do some things to get their health back, they don't have the energy to do it. And I decided I was going to do everything I could to get as healthy as possible and see if that allowed my body to resolve the cancer and have it go into remission, because even though the medical establishment doesn't talk about it a lot, there are many, 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 many instances of what they call spontaneous remission, and which I'm beginning to realize after my 3 or 4 months, 5 months now that I've been doing this program. I'm not sure it's spontaneous so much as a lot of really hard work to eat right, to drink enough water, to get enough exercise, to rest, and to change your attitude. Really, my teacher, the oncologist from many years ago, also said something else about cancer, which I can certainly attest to, which is that cancer's great gift is the wake-up call. And it does. It wakes you up from the illusion that you have unlimited time, because the truth is none of us know how much time we have, cancer or not. And I think the Buddha says that the big mistake that people make is to think that there is time. And I know one of my favorite novels when I was in school was Hesse's Steppenwolf, where they say something to the effect that everything changes when you lose the illusion of permanence. And that's cancer's gift, the wake-up call. It says, hey, this is not a dress rehearsal, this is it. So this is your time to do whatever it is that you want to do in life. And I'd been saying for years that I wanted to write. I had all these projects in mind. When I moved to the boat after my other half died, I was committed to making sure that his stories were not forgotten, because he led an extraordinary life, and I hadn't done that because I was trying to raise a new source of income in real estate. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. None of that is that relevant. But the fact that all of these things conspired to keep me from really doing what I felt I needed to do. And then when the cancer came, it's a wake-up call. And every time a doctor talks about treatments, I get terrified. I want to run out the door. And same when I look at all these horrible lab reports, because they only measure, one moment in time at the very low point of your strength. And when people like Dr.Schulze, which is the program that I'm on, but there's a wonderful doctor in La Jolla called Mimi Guarneri, who also talks about steps to wellness. So when people like Dr. Schulze or Dr. Guarneri or others, who have looked at more integrative steps, when they talk about how to create a healthier life, something inside of me says, yes, I can do that. There's lots of things on their to-do list that I haven't done, and that I know I need to do, eat better, drink more water, exercise, breathe, reduce stress, write. And so that's what I've been doing. And it's a full-time job. Apparently, eating right and drinking healthy and all, it's a full-time job. But what else is more important? And nobody knows how much time we have, especially as I'm not sure there's any such thing as time, but that's a whole other discussion. And my conclusion was that if I only have a moment, which is truly all there is, then I don't want to spend that moment drinking poison in a hospital, or being cut up or burned or maimed, or any of the other things that conventional treatment does, unless there's no other alternative. So if I only have a moment, I want to spend it doing something meaningful, creating something that adds something of me to the universe that will last beyond me. So I am doing everything I can to restore my health. It's been February, March, April, May, June, July, so I'm going on 6 months now. And I have a doctor's appointment at the end of July, and we'll see how everything goes. But I know that whatever I'm doing in terms of any treatment in the future, that I am going to do it in the best possible health possible. And maybe spontaneous remission, as they call it, and as I call it, working your butt off to get your health back, is what I'm hoping for. So I don't know if this has been helpful in terms of your journey. It's a little scary to be so personal so publicly, but if what I'm going through can help anybody else, then I'm willing to do it. So if you like it and want to follow my journey, then please, like or subscribe or whatever it is that one is supposed to do online. Thank you.